You're listening to Leedom to Life, where it's our prerogative to explore what it means to be authentically human and fully alive. We have far more questions than answers, but believe that extraordinary answers can be found in the ordinariness of a journey. I'm your host, Emily Leedom. Hello, friends, and welcome to this episode of Leedom to Life. We're back in season 3. Ready or not, we're underway. Here we go. So it's been a little while since last time we've chatted. We've had a baby since then. And I am back at work, ready to launch another season. And I just told my dear friend Beth, sitting across from me, that I needed a friend to talk to as I get back into the hot seat of podcast mode. So Beth Pole, welcome to Leedom to Life.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I feel like you've kind of been with me on the Leedom to Life journey from the beginning.
Yeah.
Haven't you?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I called you before I launched and said, hey, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. What do you think? And you've just been a great encourager. So
it's been awesome.
I'm so grateful for you coming in and bringing little Mr.
Sweet.
Joseph along, who's just snoozing right next to us in his car seat. This is like working motherhood. all of my dreams coming true. It's not even my baby, and I'm just delighted by it. So, okay, Beth, first of all, tell us a little bit about who you are, who you're married to, your family, that kind of stuff.
Yes. So I'm married to a wonderful husband, Levi Pole.
He really is great.
Yes, he is amazing. He's my rock, and love him very much. And we have 6 amazing children. My oldest is 9, Aiden. And then I've got Camden, who is 8. And then Emma is our only little girl. She is almost 5. She entered preschool with our little best friend,
Miss Claire.
Yes.
Do you know that does Emma tell you every day that they play at recess together?
Yes.
Yeah.
I get the lowdown of who they play with and who wasn't nice to them.
I know, me too. Okay, we're gonna come back to the preschool thing in a hot second. Finish the last few.
And the last 3 are all 3 little boys that are all super close together. Cooper just turned 3. Samuel is almost 2, and Mr. Joseph is almost 6 months.
Woohoo!
So,
those bottom 3 are just like a little trifecta.
Oh,
they are going to be best friends for life. Kind of Aiden and Cam,
It'll be
really.
awesome.
It's really cool. Yeah, they're just so fun, though. I love watching them interact and that kind of thing. Okay, I'm having better feelings about preschool. So, listeners, I kind of had some mixed emotions about preschool. I don't think I anticipated. I intellectually knew that it was going to be a major shift, but I don't think I anticipated the emotional shift that it was going to be for me. And it's really difficult for me because I'm very much let's celebrate the growth. Let's celebrate the changes. Like, I never wanted to be that mom that when a birthday came up or whatever, I was like, oh, stop growing. You know, I wanted to be like, this is good. Like, they're actually supposed to grow. I want to celebrate these milestones, all of the things, right? You know this about me. But preschool was freaking hard, man.
It's a big baton to pass.
It's a big baton. And I think it felt, at the beginning at least, for me, and I'm curious if you felt this with Aiden, your first, when he went to preschool, it feels more distant from me in some way. Like daycare, I think because I saw the same person every day that I would drop off and pick up from and that kind of thing, or that I still do with my little girls. But I don't know the rest of the families. I don't know the other kids. I really don't even know the teachers.
It's a much bigger community.
Yes.
And they get to know so many more kids and kids that you probably won't ever even meet.
Yeah.
Some of the time.
Yeah.
You'll get to know they're good friends, but there's still a ton of other kids in the school, even small schools.
Right. And then I think, too, you want to know everything about their day. But a 4-year-old reliving their day is, you're just going to get a lot of nuance.
Yes. The highs and the lows. And a few in between.
And like the what are you talking about? Kind of thing. Although Claire's a great communicator. So
she is.
She'll tell me like, well, Emma and I played at recess and William wanted to play with us and we let him play with us. And this other person wanted to play with us, but he was being mean. So we said blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, But I feel like we're turning a corner. So we're a few weeks in. It's getting better. It's getting easier. Praise the Lord. Yes. We're turning the corner. And Claire's like super excited about it, which is a lot better.
Oh, that good.
How's it been going with your olders back at school?
You know,
quieter house.
I would not say the house is quieter. I think they actually entertained my younger kids a little
younger
bit more
ones. Yeah.
than I anticipated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's actually been harder at home now
Yeah.
with the littles, and
Yeah.
they're sad when Emma goes to preschool because she goes
sure.
to half days
Right.
every afternoon.
Right.
So
Yeah. So you're like leaning full into stay-at-home mom life right now. But and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but you also just have a passion for like a well-ordered home, and you actually have been discerning. You've kind of started, and then baby came along. But do you want to mention just the business and kind of
Yes.
why? Because I think that's a good insight into
It
like why
is.
you and I are having this conversation.
So I have just loved organizing in general since I was little.
Bizarre.
It's just
I mean, I'm like, that's really great, and I'm very grateful that
Good
you're my
for you
friend
type.
because you can come over and organize
Yes.
my house anytime.
But it has developed more than just an organizational thing. It's become minimalism and decluttering and just having your home function for you. And so with that, I have a passion for helping moms to be saving time so that they can spend that time with their kids
Yeah.
and their family and the things that matter most to them.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're running around because we can't find something, or we're drowning in papers and toys and all of these things that just accumulate with big families, small families, just starting out with kids. And just trying to focus on what really matters and what's important to you. So with that, I started up a little business before 2 of the kids. Actually, I think we had 4 at that point.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I had a few clients, and I made some amazing friends kind of along the way. And then COVID hit kind of, and you can't really go in homes once everything
you just,
kind of
don't
hit.
know what's
So it's just kind of
happening,
stopped, and I haven't started it up again because I'm in the phase where I'm focusing on our family. We've got 2 more kiddos, and we'll see what happens and where the God leads us. But we had called it Simple with Elizabeth, and we'll just see where it
Simple
goes.
with Elizabeth. Tell me why Simple with Elizabeth.
Because I believe that things should be simple, because the processes that you put in place will make your life simpler, and I feel like that's how God intended it to be. When you think about Jesus and his time on earth, he was born to a simple life, and his disciples were simple in what they did. And I just feel like that's possible for all of us. It'll look different for each one of us depending on what our family situation is, whether you're young and single, or if you're empty nesters, and all those stages along the way.
I don't know if I know this answer for you. Well, I don't know a lot of the answers of questions that I have for you, but is there a moment where, because you talked about you've always been passionate about like, or excited about organizing and just kind of like a naturally organized person, and that brings you peace and joy and all of those things. Was there a moment where it shifted, or you became aware that, hey, this isn't just something that I am good at or that I like doing, but that I actually have like a mission here or a desire, and that this is something bigger than just keeping something organized?
I think once I started staying home and talking to other moms and realizing that not everybody functions like I do, and just learning that I might be able to help other people through this walk, and giving the talents and gifts that God's giving me to help others.
Yeah.
And I think that that's given me a lot of life.
Yeah. Oh, I love how you say that. That's just given me a lot of life. Because I think when we find those passions, it does. It just brings us life. It brings us a renewed energy and purpose and joy and all of those things that can kind of pull us out of our out of ourselves.
Yes,
you know?
for sure.
Okay, so maybe a good place for us to start is, for you, what do you think of when you think of home? Like, what's the importance of home? What kind of comes to your mind when you think about home?
Home for me is a safe haven, somewhere that I want myself and my husband and our kids to come home to, that is a safe place no matter what. And that they feel cherished and loved, and feel God's presence there. And in order to do that, your home has to reflect that. So for us, this all kind of started as we started diving deeper within our faith. And
do you feel like that grew in the last couple of years?
Oh, for sure it has.
Yeah.
And that's really driven changing from the organizing. I love organizing and having things all in its place to why do I love organizing and what about organizing is so important. And that's really changed to more of a minimalism. And then I've been reading different books and things, and I took this definition of minimalism is really where my heart is at.
Okay, yeah.
It says minimalism is the intentional promotion of the things that we value the most, and then removing all the things that distract from it. It is a life that forces intentionality, and as a result, it forces improvements in all of the other aspects of your life. So I think for me, when you think of minimalism, sometimes you just think of a blank slate.
Yeah.
And you just think of like a bed and like a glass and a cup, just a very minimalist, simple things.
Yep.
But I think it can be different for everyone. And I love that definition because it really forces you to think about what's really important to you.
Yeah.
And for us, it's really putting God at the center of everything. And if something doesn't reflect what your mission and how you want to live your life, then it needs to go.
I'm struck by the fact that the first part of that definition is that it's the promotion. First and foremost, it's the promotion of the things that you most value.
Yes.
Because when I think of minimalism, I think of like chucking things.
Yes, you think
trash.
of decluttering.
Yes, I think of decluttering.
Yes.
Which is actually really therapeutic for me. Like, I love to throw things away. You know this.
Yes,
like,
I do.
It really brings me a lot of joy. But I love that it starts with the promotion of the things that we value. So there's been moments, and the example that's coming to my mind is we have 2 bookshelves, on the side of our fireplace. And at times I look at those bookshelves and think, gosh, that looks a little messy, or that looks a little cluttered, or whatever, right? And I compare that to like what I see on these Instagram gals that I follow that have perfectly
they're all
decorated,
color-coded,
curated,
and they're
yes, or it's not even books. It's just like curated, beautiful decorations kind of thing. And every time that thought kind of crosses my mind, I have to pause and think, we actually really value books in our home.
And why do you value books?
Right, because they've been so influential for us. It's helped us to like draw closer to truth. For some of the books that are just more like fun reads, I think it's provided a sense of adventure or discussion or whatever. Like, it's actually impacted our family.
Yes.
So it's actually the promotion of the things that we value. It's not necessarily just hey, let's declutter and get rid of all of these things because they maybe look a little messy, or it's not perfectly color coordinated, or whatever, I love that definition. That's so helpful. Are you naturally a minimalist?
No.
Me neither. Say more about that.
I would say I'm more on the hoarding side of things.
Really?
And I think it's something that I have to fight through, because you can organize a ton of stuff and make it look beautiful and organized, and everything still has a place.
Yep.
But that does not mean you're minimalizing, and you still have all of these things that are bogging you down. You're having to clean all of these things, and that's taking your time away from the things that really matter.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious for you, where you say that you probably lend yourself more towards like the hoarding side of the spectrum. You're not
I'm not a hoarder.
I know.
No,
but like you tend to.
I want to keep everything because I might need it in the future.
I was going to say, what is it behind it for you? So it's not necessarily a nostalgia. It's I might need it.
I might need it.
And I would say that's Matt.
Yes.
Haven't you bonded about that before?
Yes, we have. We've talked about this.
Yeah. Because it's the, and I mean, to his credit, sometimes he pulls things out that I'm like, oh, that's really beneficial right now. I'm glad
I don't have to rebuy that
because I would have chucked it, But I think it's an interesting question for us to ask ourselves.
It is.
Why am I this way? Or what are the things that I tend to be more like materialistic about, or like grasping for things? Because I think for different people, it's different things.
Oh, for sure it is.
Like some people tend to buy lots and lots and lots of kitchen supplies, or like I know somebody who like food is their thing, and it's not because they're eating a lot of food, but they just buy like lots and lots and lots of food, and it's a frustration for them because they feel like, oh, I'm constantly like, I end up throwing things away because I can't go through this much. And so they had to work through why am I doing this? Well, what is this fear or whatever? I think for me, sometimes it's like a materialistic thing where I love like clothes, or I love like home decorations or whatever, right? For other people, it might be tools in the garage. Like, but what is that thing for us, and why is it? Some people, it's stuff for their kids, toys.
Right? That's a huge thing. You don't want your kids to miss out on the newest and greatest thing. Yeah. And it's coming from a good place, but you can easily bog down your kids with too much. You're overstimulating when really getting back to the basics is really what's beneficial for them, and spending the time with them.
So while I want to get into just kind of like order in all of those things, but before we go there, for somebody listening that is intrigued by this idea of minimalism, what are some things that come to your mind to help people kind of promote those things that they value in their home, while at the same time diminishing, or however that definition described it, those things that cause chaos or whatever? What are some things that can be helpful to get us?
Well, I think the first question that you're going to have to ask yourself is like discerning what God's will for your life is, and like what your mission is. And because it's going to be different for everyone.
And that's going to show you what you value.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's going to be, for us, I started this when I started staying home, decluttering and organizing it. And it's like a constant thing, especially with kids. They kind of keep going through and keep asking yourself, why am I keeping this? Does it bring me closer to being a saint? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all called to do. And
how would you answer the question of, you have to start with what is your mission and what is it that you want for your family?
My mission is to get my husband to heaven and to raise children to know their value and who they really are as children of God.
How does that play out in your house?
We have completely flipped things, and we have a lot more books, children's Catholic books and religious books. They love their rosaries in their rooms. They've got the water fonts in their rooms that they just love. Camden actually just came up last night because his was all empty. He needed more holy water for his room.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Things like that, that's really embracing. And then as they've gotten older, they embrace different things. So when they start asking about like the water font, they wanted one in their room. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Yeah. Let's encourage that. They want to learn about more saints. Let's go get some books about specific saints that you're interested in, and let's learn about that.
Are there things you got rid of in the process of this flip in your house?
We got rid of a lot of sports things, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Because that was like the idol in your house a little bit.
I think it's what we both kind of knew. Growing up, we both played sports.
Yeah.
And I think for some people it can be an idol.
Yeah, maybe not in your experience or in your
to
house
some degree,
per se,
yes, it was. But I think that we still play sports, but it's not something that we push so much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to stay active and well-rounded and all of those things, but instead of focusing so much on Tom Brady and those types of things, I think we encourage the people that are in those sports that have the characteristics that we want our kids to.
Those virtues that we want. Okay, can we take a quick rabbit hole conversation really fast? Parents, I'm going to talk about Santa Claus in about 5 seconds, so go ahead and take 5 seconds. If you'd like to turn off Leedom to Life while driving in your minivan, this would be a great time to do so. Okay, your 5 seconds is up. Okay, this is how I feel about Santa Claus. In terms of, I struggle a little bit. I'm not anti-Santa, but I struggle like with the pushing and the promotion of Santa because that's really hard to compete with. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
So like if in our house we're like constantly pushing like whatever the sports star is or
If the focus is Santa Claus.
Yes. And it's so magical and it's so exciting and it's cool and it's fun and whatever, that like if that excitement is at the detriment of like our values or it, you know, in the case of Santa Claus, if that's at like the diminishing of what Christmas is about and the welcoming of Jesus Christ, you know, King of the world, I think that's, I like don't know the balance there. I just think it's a constant thing for me to navigate.
Well, it's going against our culture, what we see and
totally.
what's selling.
And the thing's not bad either.
No, it's not. But that's there's so many good things. But I think it's finding out what's really good for your family and why. I think a lot of the sorry, that's my thankful reminder.
Oh, what are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for being here with you today.
Is that how do you do that? You set an alarm on your watch?
Yes.
That's the best thing ever.
It's been really good. I've done it for about a month now.
Oh my
it kind of like regrounds me when I've got like screaming kids.
It grounds me. That's really good. I love that just happened.
At 10 a.m. and at 2 p.m. That's gives a little reminder.
Oh my gosh.
And my kids know.
So many good tips of things like this.
Oh, yeah.
You're the best.
Camden stops me. He's like, Mom, you got to pray now when he hears it.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, moving on from Santa Claus. He's real. Welcome back, friends. Young friends listening. Okay, so some other tips. So first of all, to move towards minimalism, defining what you value, what are you about, all of those things. Any like practical things that come to your mind of like, because I'm just picturing myself, like I would want to stand in my kitchen and like literally just look around with a fresh pair of eyes, or in our living room or my bedroom, whatever.
There's so many different ways to like start tackling this.
Yeah. I kind of like Marie Kondo.
I do.
You're anti-Marie Kondo, right?
I'm not anti. I just don't like her reasoning. Like
hold this thing. Does it bring you joy? Because it's not connected
about the
to
joy.
Like, what's the
it's
mission?
Why?
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you.
But yes, definitely. Like, I'm all about her processes and
how she folds her clothes in her drawer.
Actually, I don't do that.
You don't like that?
I know you do. Well, because my kids can't do that, and it's important for me for my kids to be able to do it.
That's a really great point. Yeah, I'm totally selfishly just thinking about only my closet right now and how much stacking my shirts the other way has been a game changer for me.
For me, it's honestly been getting rid of more stuff, so I don't need to worry about the space.
Yeah, and constantly be picking it up.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and you made a comment earlier, especially in regard to children, that so much stuff is often overwhelming. That then they can no longer actually participate and engage with it in the way that we would hope that they would be able to, because it's overwhelming.
Exactly. It's overstimulating.
It's overstimulating. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about just the power. You have a thought.
Well, you had to ask how you go about it. And I was just going to say.
Yeah, did you have more? Go.
Yeah, so there's so many different ways that you can do it. There's like an 8-week program that you can do. And it kind of,
oh my gosh.
So then it gets to the slower process.
Okay.
So that's actually what I'm going to start doing.
Are you really?
I'm going to do it before Advent. So then.
Do you want to do it at my house as well?
Let's do it together. Let's do a challenge.
Okay.
So each week it's like you focus. The first one, you have to do your bedroom first.
Okay.
With your spouse.
Yes, that's important.
But before that.
Matt always asks me, like, Emily, did you throw this away?
My kids do that to me.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never seen that thing in my life. No. Okay, continue. So you do it for your room first.
Yes, to get the buy-in then from the rest of your family. Your kids are a little bit smaller, but I mean, you could probably talk to Claire. Yeah. But we're going to sit down with the boys specifically, and Emma probably, and talk about what we're going to do to our house and why. And then I want them to really understand it rather than, Mom, did you throw this away again?
Yeah. But for them to actually like engage in the process.
And know why we're doing what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start with our room and kind of go through those. And then each week it's a different area. Mm-hmm. So then by the time you're done, your house is kind of ready to start for Advent and to really focus on getting ready and preparing for Christ. So
cool.
Yeah.
So in that way, it's kind of going through and basically just room by room looking at what do we need or not need here.
It's kind of the same concept. I feel like you need to take everything out.
Yep.
Touch it all.
Yeah.
Try it on. All those kinds of things.
Yeah.
All the advice that you kind of hear.
Yeah. That makes sense. I actually appreciate that because I think it makes it a little bit less daunting to kind of go room by room or week by week,
It
however
makes
you
it
want
more
to say
doable.
that. Because if I were to look at, a whole house or whatever, and I'm a little bit more of a minimalist by nature, not hardcore, but definitely more by nature. But I have noticed in myself when things start to get cluttered, I can begin to feel overwhelmed.
Yes.
And I can kind of like push it behind a closed door, not because I want to keep the stuff, but because it's overwhelming to me to try and find the time to go through
What
it.
am I going to do with this?
Yeah.
Figuring out those next steps and constantly having a bin that's to donate, to throw away, all these things.
Right. So for you, as you have, and I know you're going to do this again, but you've also been in the process of doing this over the last couple of years and helping other people to do it and that kind of thing. How do you think it has changed your experience of being in your home? And how has it changed you?
I think it's changed me in that I really truly understand like having things. For me specifically, I've got a very type A personality. Yeah. And it's very overwhelming for me staying home when things are a mess. But if there's less things.
Like you want to get out of your house, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just can't function in the morning to sit down and do my morning prayer because there's a mess everywhere. Mm-hmm. And so if I am able to eliminate so many things that need to happen in order for the space to be clean, it brings a lot more order to our family and to everything that we do. And part of that has also been minimalizing our calendar and less commitment so that we can truly focus on the family.
All right, let's go there. Let's talk about the calendar.
Well, this all kind of came about when actually at the couples conference that we had back in a year and a half ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And Deacon.
I cannot believe I'm blanking on his name. Somebody's yelling it at the Keating. Thank you. There we go.
Deacon Keating challenged us that, like, he was talking about couples that come in to see him and talk about how busy they are. And he just flat out just says, you did that to yourself.
You did this.
And that just, Levi and I just keep coming back to that and looking at our calendar every Sunday when we sit down to do our calendars and say, this is what we did to ourselves. What's important to us? Do we really need to be doing all these activities? And it gets harder with the more kids you have and the more things that you really need to discern what's beneficial to them and what's beneficial to our family as a unit. Mm-hmm. And being really picky about what we say yes to and what we say no to. Mm-hmm. And really keeping, I think for us, keeping Sundays as a sacred, holy family day, mm-hmm. and putting our foot down with those types of engagements. Mm-hmm. And that for us, minimalism has been that piece too. Yeah. It's not just about the things. It's about the appointments, the calendars, and also the people that you have in your life. Because we all know that we all have people in our lives that can be toxic, mm-hmm. and not beneficial and helping us grow to be mm-hmm. saints. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can't choose those people, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you can limit how you see them
or
and
put
up boundaries
in place, kind of thing. Yeah, or even the amount of good people.
Yes.
Like that's been a challenge, I think, for me. And I know we've had this conversation before. Like there are so many people that I want to just be in close relationship with because they're incredible. They're edifying. They're
bringing
encouraging.
Life
they bring me life, all of those things. Yeah. And yet you can't
invest in everyone.
Yeah. Which is really hard for me.
I know it is.
I want to be like,
you want to be with everyone.
I want to be where the people are.
Because there's so many good people out there.
Exactly. You totally get me. I think that's really powerful though. Like as you're sharing, this also applies to calendar. This also applies to the people in our lives. This also applies to the activities and the things that we're going to engage in and that kind of thing. Like that's the power of an ordered home, like of an ordered family.
And it brings peace not only to you, but to your entire family, mm-hmm. and helps you to grow and function mm-hmm. well together.
Mm-hmm. And that might come at the sacrifice of good things.
Yes.
That might come
It's not just the bad things you're getting rid of.
Right. Which I think is why this is like a difficult thing for us and why we don't naturally do it. Like if it would be a little bit easier almost if it was like just cut out the garbage.
Just throw it away.
Yeah. But it's really not that. That's not what we're talking about. Like we're actually, it goes back to that definition. That just really, really struck me. Value to prioritize or to lift up the things that we most value.
Right.
In every which way kind of thing. How do you think this way of living, this intentional way of living has affected you and Levi? Even as a team, like doing this together, how has it affected you guys, your marriage and what you're establishing for your family?
Levi's really been the one that kind of pushed me to start the business.
Okay.
I'm going to get to your question, but he loves things organized. He just struggles to get there and to keep them there.
Yeah.
And so it's something that like along our marriage that we've just kind of battled and tried to figure out the balance with.
Yeah.
And so with that, we've really in the last couple of years started entering into it together and really organizing and trying to get through this together. That this book that I keep referring to is actually one that Levi and I read together.
Oh, cool.
And so it's been one that we're going to start this 8-week program together.
Yeah.
And really, I feel like having the whole family on board is really crucial.
Yeah. Can I ask a
family
personal
mission
question
Yes.
while you grab baby? Okay, so I think one of the challenges in just like marriage and home life and that kind of thing is, how do I want to describe this? Like the distribution of responsibilities, I think is how Matt often refers to it. Like, and if you would ask Matt, I think his answer to like what's been one of the biggest challenges of marriage, it's been that for him, like ensuring that we're kind of in this together as a team. And because he's definitely more of like the cleaner and the organizer, right? And like Levi and I are off like having a great conversation with people kind of thing. So I think that's been, so I think that, and there's been times too where I felt like maybe I was doing more and it can really be this place for resentment.
Oh, for sure it can.
To grow. Have you guys experienced that? And this is why I said, can I ask you a personal question? Have you experienced that? And has this been helpful in kind of combating that for you?
It has. And actually, this has actually come up more recently than I like to admit.
We talked about like all the time. This was yesterday's conversation in our house.
And just trying to figure out, because that changes, that balance of who's doing what. And it's not going to be 50-50. It never is in marriage. But it's always giving and thinking of your spouse first.
Yes.
I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And it's so easy for me to forget that and feel like, because I live at home all day. And so I forget that he has been at work all day, and that's stressful just as much, if not more, some days. And we all have to give so that our home is functioning the way it needs to.
Yeah. Did I send you that post from the girl that I love on Instagram? What's her name? Laura Godfrey.
I don't think so.
She posted something recently. It was kind of along these lines, and she talked about needing to root herself first in gratitude. And that whenever something kind of came up for her of like, feeling unbalanced in this way, if she stops and recognizes and like thanks in her heart, in her mind, practically her husband for all the things that he does, like how much that shifts the perspective. I have 100% found that to be true.
Well, that's so true. Everything. And that's like you had on your podcast, one of the first episodes, I think, Father on talking about his mother and how she would always, when she was picking up after his father, would pray for him. Yeah. And I've actually taken that. And every time I pick up Levi's clothes.
Right.
Or anything, even for my kids, when we're doing things like that, praying for them. And when I am grateful, like you're talking about, it changes the whole day.
Yeah. Man, I'm super convicted by that because I do not.
It is, yeah.
I do not do that.
And it's also
99%
part
the
of
time.
it is my morning routine. And we've talked about this before.
Just like rooting yourself in that.
Yes, I function so much more on routine.
Right.
And so when things are off, it really throws me.
Yeah.
And when I get that morning routine, the whole day is so much better and it
Yeah.
flows because I have those
Yep.
processes in place.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
everyone functions. And my
Yeah.
tone sets the tone for the rest of the kids.
Yeah. Okay, here's one of the last questions that I have for you because I think as we're having this conversation, this was really spurred. I don't even know if I told you this, but my desire to do this episode was spurred by the fact that Matt and I like deep cleaned our house a couple weeks ago and like we just did a total reset in our house. And it restored something in our interior order, our interior freedom that I don't even quite have the language for, but it was very clear that it was there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it was
completely
like,
makes sense.
this is powerful. Like it was this powerful experience. And yeah, it just was, yeah. I think the challenge is that can become, like, now anytime something's on the floor or whatever, right, or the spill happens, etc.
The Cheerios get spilled for the 10th time that day.
Yeah, it's a spill of the day. Shout out to Megan.
Yes.
I think the challenge is that can be like really robbing then of our peace because we've almost like over prioritized having the clean house. And that's not what we're talking about
not
at
at
all.
all.
So can you speak to that a little bit?
Of
Because I know it's a
course.
really powerful, distinction.
Yes, it definitely is. I think that when you're in your home all day, especially, like it's really hard to let anybody inside your home when it's messy. Mm-hmm. It's like you're having your women's group over and you have to quick clean up everything and make sure it's spotless. And you give this projection that your life is perfect. And it's the Pinterest, this is my home, 24/7 picture. And it's just not real life. And I think if we all let people step into our real life a little bit more, it would give everybody else the permission to do so.
Yeah.
Because life is so messy and it's crazy and chaotic, and that's okay.
Yeah. Not to mention, let God step into the messiness of
Yes.
Like I think if we're constantly so worried about this, no wonder we have a hard time letting the Lord see intimately the inner workings of our heart because our hearts are messy.
Yes.
Like the human experience is messy.
We all have so much we're carrying.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if we can get in the habit, I think, of being free in the messiness and being okay with the vulnerability that's required to say, yes, like a properly ordered home restores order in me, and yet like I have not arrived, like we're pilgrims on the journey.
It's constant.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And there's freedom in that. There's so much freedom in that. I've had a conversion of heart about something.
Let's hear it.
Cleaning ladies.
No, you don't like her?
No, I love her.
Oh, good.
So
you were against her?
Well, I was against cleaning ladies.
Oh.
You knew this.
No.
Yeah. I had like a thing early on in marriage. If you would have asked me in our first year of marriage if we would ever have a cleaning lady, I would be like very judgmentally probably like, no. Like it's our job to like keep order in our home. I would have felt like that was taboo. I would have I just had that sort of vision of it. Fast forward into now having 3 kids, being 2 working parents, that kind of thing. My dear, someone very dear in our life was like, I think you should consider hiring a cleaning lady. I call them cleaning angels.
Yes.
Isn't that a great name?
Yes.
And she just said, I think if you can spare the $100 or $150 a month to give someone else a job and to do those things that you simply don't have time to do. Like you're going to keep your house tidy. You're going to keep things put away. But it's like the scrubbing the floor or mopping the floor or whatever.
It gives you a weekend back.
It gives us a weekend back.
Yes.
And to get to the point where I was able to say like, hey, I actually value this enough that we're going to put some money behind it, and we don't have a lot of money to spare, right? So it's not like, oh, that was easy. Like, it's a sacrifice. But it has also allowed us time that we didn't have before, or those things just simply weren't happening, and it was causing this like constant like whatever. So I've just had a total conversion, and I am super pro cleaning angels. If you can swing the $100, $150 a month to,
and you know what, I used
great.
to have a cleaning lady when I was working full time, and we didn't for the longest time.
Yeah.
And I don't think I even told you this. We have a cleaner coming on Monday.
Praise
and
the Lord.
I am so thankful. It's so hard for me to admit that I cannot do it all. And I am so thankful.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
It's like being a good steward of your home.
It is.
In some ways. And like if I had the time to do that, like, I'm not going to say I would love to do that, because that's actually just, that would be a lie. But I think, there's a reality. Like, sometimes we just need the extra support. It's like Hy-Vee aisles online.
Oh, yes.
What a gift, Praise the Lord for somebody that can help me do the grocery shopping as a busy mom or whatever, which I actually agree with that, because I love grocery shopping. But
I love delivery.
Yeah. And I'm very humbled saying this on the podcast, because I know that there's listeners that are probably, that feel like, that are anti or whatever. But I got to tell you, it's been like such a gift to us. And I'm so grateful. It gives me
so much more time to be with my children. Mm-hmm. And that's the end of the day where I feel my calling.
Yeah. And you just have to discern, like, what do you value?
Yes, exactly.
And where do you prioritize that? Oh, so good. Okay, friend, any other thoughts that are on your heart as we come to a close in this conversation?
I don't think so. I think we covered obviously we could talk about this for a long time and give all kinds of tidbits of actually how to go about it.
Yeah.
But
well, you've been a real inspiration to me in terms of just prioritizing this and you taking it seriously in your own home, and the desire that you have to properly order your home in all of these different ways. At the end of the day, I think there's a reality that space matters, environment matters. That's why we build beautiful churches.
Exactly.
And they can become this place for us to encounter God. And so if we have a home that we can operate well within and experience beauty within, it actually offers something to the interior life of a family, which I think is so beautiful. Okay, my last question for you. I forgot to tell you that I do this at the end of every episode, but I think you know.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me, what's a question that you have been pondering? This is a place with more questions than answers, and we always want to leave with something to continue to ponder. So what's a question you've been thinking about?
Well, we've kind of dived all into this, I think it's a question that it's going to constantly have different answers. But in our world of consumerism, how do we learn to be in the world, but not of the world, and to carry that out tangibly day to day in our lives, and to teach our children that? I think that's even been a harder thing.
What do we do about Santa Claus?
Exactly.
The $1 million question. That's really good. How do you be in the world, not of the world, in this world of consumerism, where these things are not necessarily bad, but what's the Christian's view?
Right.
What's the Christian view? You're the best, Beth. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's been a blessing.
Friends, I hope that you love this episode. Please share it. Share it with your spouse. I think especially if you're married. There's just so many things in this conversation that really struck me and related to marriage. And I'm super excited for Matt and I to have a conversation about it and talk about maybe the 8-week lead up to Advent. I think that would be really, really cool for us. But know that you don't go in it alone. You can always call Beth. She'll give you some words of wisdom and prayers along the way.
We'll do a FaceTime.
Yeah, there you go. Friends, thanks so much for listening. Share it with a friend, and we will see you next time.